Righty.
So you're the one who's going to be able to see the comments and then tell
You
me
should
about it, right?
you should be able to see the comments on the right side if you hover over there or something. Maybe. Let me know if you can see the comment.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I think it says show everyone can see and hear you. Is that over there? Is that what it says? I don't know if that's where the comments would appear.
Well, what I do too is I bring them up here. I can bring them up
Okay,
on the
gotcha.
stage too.
Let me plug this iPad. One second.
Excuse
Let
me.
me plug this iPad.
No problem. Do, do, do. Okay.
Awesome.
Yeah, so I'm not sure if you can see the one I have in the comment that's pinned.
I just saw something came up on your screen.
Oh, okay. So on the right it says comments. It says private chat on your right.
Comments. No, I don't see that. I just said it just says you're in the show. Everyone can see and hear you. Then if I touch the chat button now,
Yeah.
then I don't know. Oh,
Over to the right, you should be able to see the comments though. As they come up, we'll see. Let me know if you don't. It's turned on.
okay. What
Ouch.
did I just do? I touched something. Okay. Comments. Okay. Should I private chat? No. StreamYard Live.
That's right. So
How do I get back to you? Because now the screen is okay. Let me see. Is
ruh-roh.
Now the screen is grayed out. Nope.
I don't know.
Let's. Okay, I got it.
You're
Sorry.
back. All
Yep,
right, good
I'm
to go.
back.
All right, you ready?
I am ready. Ask
Perfect.
me tough questions. Ask me anything.
Yes.
I am very in. This is my passion. I am mesmerized by
Yes.
this, and I'm going to say this. I've been doing this for more than 17 years,
Mm-hmm.
and I have done it for my son Baggio, and I have done it for other people, and I am
Mm-hmm.
now doing it as a business.
Good deal.
Yeah.
Well, just so you guys know, we have Sophia here. Me and her made we contacted on StreamYard or not StreamYard,
Clubhouse.
Clubhouse of all places, where she talked about the challenges of special education for young adults and higher functioning special needs. And so I said this would be a great topic for us to talk about because the Yang Gang, we're all about neurodiversity and awareness, and supporting that community. And my girlfriend is a special education teacher, and I believe you're just going to get to know Sophia here and see what brought her to this moment. So go ahead and just kind of introduce yourself, Sophia.
Hi, everyone. Great evening to you. It is a pleasure to be here. My name is Sophia Cousins. I am the mother of a special needs child. My son Baggio is now 22. We live in New York City, and I became his special educational legal advocate electively. I elected to do so. This was back in 2002. I
Mm,
started challenging the school district in municipal courts and state courts, and eventually made two landmark federal rulings precedents in 2012. Um, Baggio has cerebral palsy, so he was born 27 weeks gestational age. He's non-ambulatory, but he is what you would call high functioning CP.
okay.
So his intellectual abilities on par with us, with some minor developmental delays, but he's totally non-ambulatory, and he receives physical therapy, speech therapy, occupational therapy, and he was in the public school system for a couple of years, and I challenged that and won a case where he was sent to private school. We can go into that later, but this is who I am:
Mhm.
mother, fighter, mama bear, special needs advocate for my son and some other people along this journey. I
Mhm.
am now doing this as a business, as a service to others, because I do realize that the special needs, special education is one of the most underrepresented sectors in education, even in special education attorneys. It's
Mm,
not a field of law that is widely practiced.
right.
There's not a lot of special education attorney because a lot of attorneys pretty much don't like the bureaucracy and the depth of all the challenges that this,
Yeah, I
particular.
imagine there'd be a lot of challenges with the Disability Act, and there's a whole bunch of red tape and codes, all the codes for different municipalities, federal, state, county, and city, and whatever, and like I know my youngest son, he had surgery on his hip, so he was non-weight bearing and on crutches, and he went to there's a bigger school he goes to for athletic trainer courses there for college credits at the high school, and their elevator was broke for like months. And I was like, I think I should call somebody and say, hey man, you gotta you're required by law to keep that on the up and up for anyone that needs handicap accessibility. Like you're required by law.
Right there,
Mm-hmm.
beloved, your son became, not by his own choice, but
Mm-hmm.
through an event, became a recipient by law, not a privilege, which is his right, of under faith, to a fair and appropriate public education. And
Yes.
that also includes how he gets to school and
Mm-hmm.
moves around in the that
Yeah.
environment. Yes.
He couldn't go to class for a week because he physically was in too much pain to walk up a full flight of stairs. So the classroom is like two flights, or is it one flight up,
They
and
had
then
no
like
elevator
they have one elevator,
and it wasn't
and
working.
it was under yes, out of wasn't functional, and it had been for a couple months apparently, because my daughter told me, yeah dad, that ain't worked in months. I'm like,
Didn't
really?
you get any remedies? Did you get any financial remedies? Did you get any educational remedies
No,
for
it
him?
just is recent, like just happened, like he just now got to the surgery just a few weeks ago. um so he's not using crutches or anything now, like he's back to functional mobility, that he can do the stairs no problem, but still it needs to be addressed because he's
They
not the
owe
only one.
you. They owe you. I'm going to tell you because I've done this many times with. They owe you. Of course, they cannot go back in time and provide those classes for him in
Right,
the
right.
physical realm, but they owe you educational monetary vouchers in order so you can take that to an institution of learning of your choice
Mm.
to facilitate the time that he was not, and I'm going to use the right adjective, for the time that he was not provided with access to a free and appropriate public education.
Yeah,
They owe you.
because I
And we can
think
talk about
they
that.
well, it's the funny thing, I talked to is my ex-wife about it, and I was like, how can he not? They have to provide him access. I know the Disability Act. I do physical therapy, so like that's my job too, is to know these things for apartments, HUD housing and stuff like that, ramp access and all that stuff. So I told her, I was like, what did they say when you called the secretary about it? And she said they said they could have people volunteer to take him up the stairs in a help him up the stairs. This and that. I was like, no, 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 they're not qualified. They're not
Oh my
qualified.
gosh, you are going down alleys. Don't make me cry. You are going down alleys now where when you talk about that stairs, we have so much to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
We have, when you talk about the stairs, that's one of the precedents that I made in federal court, and they sealed that
Oh,
because, oh yes, they didn't want
what
anyone.
state are you in, by the
New
way?
York, I'm New York. I'm in New York
Okay,
City.
awesome.
I made that precedence because they caused them to. They didn't provide people to lift his wheelchair up steps. At the time we were living in a residence where there were
Mm-hmm.
steps, and under the law, the Individualized Disabilities Education Act, a free and appropriate public education just not does not is not relegated to the scholastic part of the classroom. It is to get the child there, because in order to access education,
Mm,
you must have access to education, which includes transportation.
yeah.
People, someone too qualified, we call that porter service. Someone qualified. Oh my gosh, my endorphins are going. Someone qualified uh, must, not if, must be assigned to your child to take him up the stairs, because that is considered transportation.
Yeah, right. But they have to have the skill set and liability with
Absolutely.
the qualification. So
Absolutely.
they can't say, hey, Jim, Bob, Joe, go help the kid up the
Nope.
stairs. Like, so I
Nope.
told her, I was like, that's not good. Don't
The
send them to
school
school.
district must provide
Mm,
people, either, we don't know what they call them, they find them, they train them, people
mm.
who, with that, as you say, with that qualification, in to take him up the steps. You have such a, you can take them to, and listen, you can, you, yeah, yeah,
So enough about me, right?
yeah,
That's just a recent experience I had for a week.
yeah.
You lived the life.
Oh yeah.
So what? So of course you have a son born where you had to be dive in and learn everything on the
Everything.
fly, and you didn't have a choice. So what made you go from mother to advocate to I'm going to provide a service? Like, can you walk me through that whole kind of progression?
Okay. When I started challenging New York City Department of Education, I started pushing the envelope. I didn't know anything. I didn't know that I had the power to do this. I was in my corporate job on Wall Street, but I'm a very inquisitive mother. I am very involved. When I am not around my child, I am present, if you know what that means. That
Mm-hmm.
sounds like a conundrum, but it's not. Even in my absence, even in absentia, I am present. So I'm very involved. I'm at
Mm-hmm.
work, and I'm involved in what is being done with, to, and for my son in the educational system. And I noticed that they were not attending to or acknowledging his intellectual abilities, that they were just focusing on the developmental delays. So pretty much what they did, they just boxed him in.
Right.
And I started challenging, and someone said to me, I'm from the islands, I'm Jamaican.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've been to Montego Bay. I love Jamaica.
You love the jerk chicken, right?
Oh yeah, jerk goat.
You love curry goat. Most Americans don't like curry goat. I don't know why.
Well,
That is awesome.
my girlfriend is her family is from Uganda, and
Okay.
so they've diversified my palate,
Very much. Goat is a big part of most of the African culture diet.
especially the islands. They don't have
Yeah,
cows on the islands. Yeah.
yeah. So, uh, the assistant principal in this elementary school, I was having, this was like one of my first issues I was having with the school district, and I was explaining my frustration to her because she was Jamaican, and she said to me, she said, Sophia, you don't know that you're more powerful than the chancellor? You are even more powerful than the school chancellor. I said, what? She said, yes. And I said, okay, don't say anymore. I didn't ask her any more questions. I just went to work, and I started pushing the envelope. And what I learned throughout this entire process over the last 17 odd years is that even if you have a law or a policy that is set in place in regards to special education, as long as you can present a plausible argument to
Mm-hmm.
suffice as to why a service is needed, irrespective of what is written, then and you can show uh, uh, any kind of egregious behavior or any kind of
Well,
default
yeah,
in the school
neglect.
district chronologically, then okay. So I started just pushing the envelope,
Mm-hmm.
and I would just start creating cases. Um, Everything that I saw that I believed he was due, um, I started taking them to court for, before an administrative law judge, and I just kept winning, and he was getting services and services, and he was getting services. I remember at one point because his cerebral palsy is spastic. So
Okay.
his fine and gross motor skills are very compromised. So he'll hold a pen like this, but he cannot definitively write.
So he's
Okay.
affected upper and lower body with a
There,
CP.
you got it. You
Gotcha.
got it.
So it must be
And
happening in his thoracic spine, I imagine, is where it's located, the bulge.
yes,
Okay. Oh,
yeah,
I do
that
physical
happened
therapy.
recently. That started happening within recent years. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And I remember I kept saying to them, Baggio, I told them, I said, learning is not just, I said, there are three prongs to learning. I went to the school district. I said, there's three layers, three prongs to learning: auditory, penmanship, and vocal. So you listen what is being taught, you can write it down through penmanship, and then you can relay it through vocabulary.
Mm.
I said Baggio is deficient in penmanship. He's not able to write, but he can hear. His comprehension skills and faculties are intact, and he's able to speak. So we need to be able to have him indulge and engage, participate, and benefit from the learning process. We need to find him some kind of technology that he'll be able to use, because he was able to do this, Pecker.
Yeah. So like
So
speak to text type of software or something.
he didn't need that to speak, because he knew he could type it, but he
Okay.
must be able to engage. They had him sitting in the classroom, and the auditory skill was being met. The auditory portion of learning was being met, but he was not able to exercise what was being taught through, writing, or relaying it in any written form. And they brushed me off for like a year and a half. And I took them to court and I won. And there were stipulations in that ruling. This was like my third case at the time. This was 2005, and I took them to court. I won. The judge said, "Okay, I'm ruling in the mother's favor. However, there are stipulations that I'm going to give when you must give the student, this technology. One, evaluate student to see what assistive technology is conducive to the student's need."
Right.
Then he said, two, after that evaluation is done, student must, within 2 weeks of that evaluation, receive a loaner assistive technology, so that student can get acclimated and be trained how to use it.
Mm-hmm.
And then 3 weeks after that loaner is given, then student must be given the real deal, where student can have it in school and take it home to do homework. So in essence, everything was supposed to be, the judge's ruling was supposed to be handled and carried out in 6 weeks. A year and a half, they didn't. Up to a year and a half later, nothing. So I took them to court again, and I sued them for egregiously denying him,
Mm-hmm.
his right to a free and appropriate education. And I asked for $12,000 in vouchers to facilitate the time that he was missing. And I got it. And at the time, Civil Learning Center was one of the big hoopla to do.
Yeah.
And I took him there, and we expended the voucher there. So
did that help him catch up in
absolutely,
in that way?
absolutely.
Okay, then that's
Because
a win. Then that's good.
absolutely,
Awesome.
because I definitely, because when we started the Sylvan program, because he would do that after school.
Mm-hmm.
So he'd go straight to Sylvan. I told them initially that I want them, this is what I want. This is what we're looking to get. So, with educational programs like Sylvan Learning Centers, they tailor everything specific.
Yeah.
So that was the beauty of that. Yeah.
That's
So
nice.
that was, they, and I got it. They gave it to me. I said, because you didn't give, and even after he got the assisted device, he used it throughout elementary school. When he got to middle school, they didn't touch it. Are you listening to me? Did not touch it. And so he was flunking in elementary.
Starting
And
over.
Yeah. And I took them to court for that. And they lied in court and said, yes, we've been using it. We have been using this tablet. Baggio, so what they try to do, make the child look like the child have no sense. And the child has been telling me he's not been using it. So I told the court that I am employed. I said, I'm imploring the court
Sorry,
to,
my
no
phone.
problem.
Turn that off. Go ahead. Sorry.
So I told the court, I said, I'm imploring the court to bring in a forensic auditor to audit this device to see when was the last time.
Oh yeah, that's not hard to do.
Oh, they immediately backtrack right there in the courtroom. Your Honor, we the New York City attorney got up and said, can we get a recess? I think I need to speak to client, because they couldn't.
Yeah, they did some dancing, put those tap shoes on.
Yeah, they weren't expecting that I would do that.
But that's perjury.
I got them good later on. I piggybacked on that on another case. And created another case. Yeah.
Okay. So he goes to middle school. Were they prepared for him?
I think they were not. I think the public education system in this country has they are in love with the term special ed, because and they romanticize special ed because it's where they get to put a special needs child without actually doing the work. And if a parent is not informed in what that entails and how their child or children should be educated while being a special education student, that parent themselves get lost in the sauce also. So in special ed, not because it's special education, there are variables to every child. Every child has some, and special education children have some superb skills that needs to be nurtured,
right,
to be acknowledged, and to be attended to and expound upon.
Well, and double
that
down
has
on
something
it.
done.
Yeah, double down on that, man. That's like I went to a small school in rural Michigan. I graduated like 80 something people in my class, like total. So very,
For the
very
entire
my
class?
senior class was 80 something people.
You guys must have gotten the best education because it was such a small school. So
it actually was a pretty good education, but the problem was the special education was one room in the entire school. Like
what?
one room. There's only like maybe a dozen, maybe 12 to 20 kids total in the whole high school that needed it, or as they deemed it necessary. But we had guys that were on the football team and girls on the basketball team and different things. They're in there because of either dyslexia or delays in reading comprehension or whatever it was. Mm-hmm. I never asked. It's none of my business. Like I'm gonna say, hey, what you in there for? Like,
Right.
I knew better. That's not a good idea. That's I think that's rude. And so like we had some people that were in there, the classmates, and other I'm like, well, they're like, well, he's like, well, I don't get those. I said, are you on the honor roll? So and so. And he's like, no. I'm like, really? And he's like, yeah. I was like, what? Are you just not doing any work? He goes, no, we don't get those types of grades in special ed. I'm like, what do you mean you don't get those types of grades? He goes, well, it's not like we get the honor roll, but there's some classes that aren't like graded on an A through E curve. I'm like, oh. I was like, so you're in special ed? He goes, yeah, mostly for reading and math because of my dyslexia, this and that, whatever. I was like, oh. I was like, what's dyslexia? If you're in high school, we don't know shit,
Right.
But it was a learning moment for me too. But I was like, oh, so you see things backwards? It just fast, like, whoa. So it really got me into like, I was a little bit fascinated with the brain, and we didn't have internet back then. All we had is encyclopedias in the public library.
Encyclopedias.
Yeah, we had to go to the public library and look it up and be like, what is dyslexia? And I actually looked it up, but now there's so much more resources. But what I wonder about is, so you had a resource of time that you had time to.
I made it the time.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. That you, one way or another, you found a way to prioritize that time and say, at one cost or another, I'm getting this done.
I taught myself how to write subpoenas because I couldn't hire. I didn't have the money to hire a special education attorney.
Wait, there aren't pro bono or appointed lawyers for that either?
No, that's considered that's considered one of the level of civil law that one of the areas of civil law that there's no freebies when it comes to legal representation, like to have an attorney. No,
Hmm.
I'm going to tell you this: a special education attorney in New York City, the very few that are here, and there, and I why I say few, because when you look at the ratio of legal practices, the
Right.
different areas that are flooded, you find a litany of criminal attorneys, entertainment attorneys, real estate attorneys, you name it,
There's probably
divorce
1,000
attorney.
in the 5 boroughs.
With special education in this country, it's like a drop in the bucket. So like I'm telling you, and this is a true story, a special education attorney in New York can run you $750 an hour.
Yeah, that's
And I just taught myself, and I did the work, and I presented the arguments in court, and I wrote my arguments. I spent time in writing my argument, and one of the workshops that I'm offering in my service is called, Exhibit A, your child's right to your child's right to a world-class education. And I titled the workshop that. That's one of my because I do speaking too. That's one of my speaker topics, and that's one of the workshops that I'm doing. I conduct in my service, because I remember when I was doing a huge case with my son, because they just see these children as numbers, ID number, blah blah blah. Once you enter into any meeting, whether it's an IEP meeting or something where there's a litigation going on, they just the name, date of birth, ID number, and it diminishes and deny the child. Um, don't give them that one. That Instagram is for my other business.
uh-oh.
I'll give you all the information for the special education service. That
Okay.
Instagram is for my other business.
Gotcha.
So I on one of the big cases, and I've never, I've never thought about taking my son into the courtroom, but that particular case that I did, I took him there, and I remember, I was the first. They told me to present my evidence first, and I said, I present Exhibit A,
My
Boccia,
son.
and
Here
I
he is.
introduced my son as Exhibit A, and
Interesting.
I conducted direct examination on him, and the New York City attorneys cross-examined him. So it when if parents as myself can find the fight in them, and they have it, because parents will die for their children. They will do anything to see their children succeed. Their children's interests are their priority.
Yeah.
They can do it. So I'm here to show parents how they can do this. I'm also here to represent parents who want to do this. And I have different variables to the services that I offer. I'll even go into a state, no matter where you are. If if you want me to be your advocate, and I initiate hearings, and I will attend the hearings and represent you and your student, your child, as your educational advocate.
So I wonder, like, you have that capability, but I wonder about the challenges of the parents that have, like, they don't have the mental capacity or the physical capability or the resources of time or whatever. They might have an anxiety issue. They would rather throw up in their own mouth than get up in front of a court, and those types of stresses that there's some parents that aren't capable of doing that, man. Like, I wonder how golly, how taxing it might be on someone to be put up against that with their
I
child.
think what I have seen from my my journey as being my son's legal educational advocate, and also assisting other parents, they're terrified.
Yeah.
And even the edge, and I'm going to tell you this, what I noticed in one of my court cases on this specific hearing date that I was representing my son at the time, it was his case. I was cross examining an educator that the New York City brought in, to
A rep.
against us. And as I was asking her the questions, she started shaking. She like literally she went into, she just shook and she started crying. And I remember the judge said, we're going to take a recess. We don't understand what's going on here. Why is she crying? She just says, they are terrified of parents. Because parents do not single check, and the wealthy can do it. The wealthy can get the special education attorney and get what they are. But who are the wealthy?
Very few.
A minute percent. So when a parent gets up there, or a regular schmo like me gets up there to represent a parent, it is petrifying. Another thing that I find that the administrative law judges, or any judge who is presiding, I've seen this, I think that they find it exhilarating. They don't say it, but just how they deal, because they don't see this. So the system is petrified of parents because they know that parents don't know that they can challenge them.
Well, they're petrified of informed parents.
Huh?
They're petrified of informed parents.
Very petrified. This woman was shaking like a leaf, and tears. And I wasn't aggressive in my questioning. I was just asking her in a very soft tone, questions relating to the particulars of the case at the time.
Direct.
And she started breaking out in hives. And they took a recess. And after the hearing was completely done, she came to me in the hallway and she said, she's Italian, the Italians talk here in New York. And she go, you rock. You made me cry. You rock. You know how the Italians talk. She goes, you are freaking amazing. She was just, you made me cry. She said, I've never seen anything like this. I've never had a parent question me. I've never gone through this with a parent. So, yeah.
Yeah. So, like, what type of services can you provide parents if there's someone if I can send this to other parents that are facing similar challenges? What can you provide, or like, what are your services?
Okay. If you go to islesoflearning.com, you can see the services that I have there, and it's AISLES, islesoflearning.com.
Okay, so I'm gonna put that here. Isles,
Yes.
right? Of learning.
Perfect.
So what the nice thing about this doodad here as well is I can actually check it out real quick.
Yes, please do.
And is Isles because you're an islander?
No, the aisles, if you look, you're going to see the banner. You see those aisles? Look at those aisles.
Isles. I think I spelled it right. A-I-S. Oh, nope. I forgot the I in there. That's my fault. There it is. Okay. So let me bring up my screen share. Let's take a tour of your website.
Yes.
So here we are. The Isles of Learning.
Yes. And you see those aisles?
Oh.
Just pause and look at those aisles. It represents challenges. It represents strength. It represents victory. It represents empowerment. It represents everything. Because when you look at those aisles, to walk, look at the columns, look at the stones.
Is this Roman or something?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Looks like a cathedral.
So it's pretty much telling the story of you as a parent being valiant, and you're daring to walk those aisles and to get to the point and the destination, and to also reap the victory of overcoming what is between those columns and along the aisles.
So just so you guys know, we have the services tab here. Standard, gold, premium. I gotcha. Okay. There you go. So there's the tiers of your services.
Yes.
So the minimal is like a 1 30-minute phone call, one written outline presentation, 30-minute wrap-up session. Yep.
Okay, let me explain that.
Okay.
Initially, let's say someone is interested in my service. They first have to book what I call a solution call. A solution call is 1 hour where I get to know you, know about your student, know about your child. We talk about this in depth about the specifics of your case. I listen. For the greater part of that 1 hour, I will give the parents permission to just unload, just dump, tell me everything.
That's free therapy right there.
Don't. I like to tell my parents, and I caution my parents this. I said, listen, do not say, excuse me, and I'm sorry for crying, or excuse me, I'm sorry for telling you this.
Yeah.
I do not, I'm an islander. So I come from, that hard creep before you walk. And when you stand up, make sure you stand up firm, colloquially speaking.
Yeah.
So and I'm going to go out on a limb. I don't know who your audience is. They're like, maybe this lady's crazy. I'm an immigrant. And I don't like I don't like apathy. I detest people who cannot feel other people's. I don't like it. I don't like people who see somebody suffering and just think that's not my problem, or she talked too much, or she's a debit. Listen, I don't like that. I am doing a service. Listen to me carefully. And I am getting paid for my service. However, there are parts and particles to what I do with my clients that have no currency attached to it.
Right.
You understand? Yeah. Because if you put $1 on everything, then you're gonna lose most of it. So I allow my parents in their solution call to, granted, that solution call is a paid call, but for an hour, I allow them to unload on me, tell me everything. Then at the end of that call, I tell them what is it that I believe would be their best solution, which would be any one of these. If you go to the bottom of the page real quick, so I don't just take the calls, right? That form. I don't just take the calls, whether it's at the bottom of the page or once they click on book a solution in anywhere on the page, they'll automatically end up with a form like this. So
Gotcha.
Once they book that call, I then get to work at looking, because you notice that state.
Yeah.
I start delving into the state, because that's where that's where I always attack. I attack the state.
Yeah.
Because they're the ones who are dispersing the service. They're the ones who are administering the service. And they're the ones who often lack and default.
Yeah.
So I immediately go to the state and start doing my homework to prepare myself for the call.
So you go from the basics of just like, if you need just a quick little intro, bam, bam, I can do that for you. But then you have the higher level of assistance where you do a 60-minute call, a written presentation to a school district, two intermediary. Yeah, good Lord. 30-minute phone calls, a vocal representation to a school district, and then an in-person representation at a hearing solution meeting with
resolution meeting with a school
resolution. My bad. Yeah, so like you do like in person, so you have some tiers here that is flexible to people's needs.
Yes.
Too. So that's a good thing, man. I like that.
Yes.
And
I also do speaking engagements.
you have a testimonial section here.
Yes.
You have workshops.
Yes.
Interesting. Okay. Ooh, online and live. Yes. Okay, that's cool. So I hope people can, if you guys need this resource, this is a place to go, man. So I'll actually put the link.
And I go anywhere in the United States if you need me to be present. And, even remotely, I still represent anyone anywhere within the United States.
Mhm. So yeah, guys, definitely check out the website, man. There's lots of things there. I'll put the links, and I'm gonna when I do live streams, then I make clips,
Right.
and then I'll put links to all the things in here as well in the clip. But yeah, I have the links in the description box and stuff. Yeah, so isleoflearning.com, islesoflearning.com. Yeah. Learning. Okay, I want to see the global pandemic.
Yes.
Yes.
This I am just now attacking. And this is going to be very, this is going to be, I'm going to be so excited. I'm so excited about this part because there's a huge class action lawsuit that's going on. And I don't know if I should share this with your audience. There's a huge class action lawsuit that's going on where attorneys are suing for a class of people in federal court. New York City and 500 school districts across the nation. Listen to this. They're suing them because since the pandemic started, they did not service special education students with physical therapy, occupational therapy, speech therapy, and also they didn't get the remote learning that they needed. Access. Listen to this now, beloved. And they were still billing. The state was still billing the states. These states were still billing the federal government for these services.
Oh, committing fraud, you mean?
Yes. Wait.
Billing for services not rendered.
They did that with my son because my son,
oh my God,
was in that same kind of program where once you leave high school, you go into this other vocational program. And they did that with him, but I sued them and I got already. I'm not even a part of that class.
How old is your son?
And I got what I got since the pandemic. Got what I got. Yeah.
How old is your son now?
For education, he's 22.
22. Okay.
Yeah. So he was still in school last year because it goes up to 21. Your IEP follows you up to 21. So I already sued them and got educational benefits and exhausted that since the pandemic privately. So what this is going to do, if you read that, what it says, you can just read that for your audience.
Yep. Okay. So I'm gonna read that, guys. It says we are acutely aware of the COVID-19 pandemic affecting the learning of special needs students. We understand the burden it places on parents who are unable to function as instructors due to work or other circumstances. During these difficult times, we're here to advocate for additional educational services that are usually rendered on site to be provided at home. It says the beacon of hope. We are determined.
No, you can. That's a different one.
Okay.
Let's stay on the pandemic part.
Yeah.
So, right as this class action lawsuit was going on, I received this letter from this huge law firm in New York City. And they were asking my permission to open the case that has been sealed in federal court. Remember, I told you I made 2 precedences in one in federal court and one in lower court, but they want to, and the judge sealed it. They didn't want anyone to use this as a precedence. Now, in this big lawsuit that's going on with 500 school district this class action lawsuit in federal court, this law firm, I guess it's one of the law firms handling that class action lawsuit, wrote to me and asked me if they could, unseal my case with my permission. I would have to give them permission to use it in this big lawsuit that's going on. And I told them no. You know why I told them no? Because you're going to have bigwig lawyers who are going to make a huge amount of money off the work that I have done when I can use it on a smaller scale for a fraction of what they charge to help my parents. You blame me? I don't. Even if you blame me, I don't blame myself.
Well, it doesn't matter. Who cares? What matters is you. That's your work being represented.
Yes, and I told them no. I said I will only, because I can unseal the case, or I can give permission to anyone to unseal the case. No one can seal the case without my permission. But I am using it to help parents who are not rich. These lawyers in this 500 school districts,
Lots of people,
in federal court. You know how much money they're going to make off of that case?
millions.
No. Mm-mm. Let me help my little small parents who are struggling.
Mhm.
No, me not help no rich people.
Yeah. Yeah. So like I do home care physical therapy. Like that's what I do as my
Yeah,
job, my 9 to 5.
yeah,
So
yeah.
when it comes to these home services, there are, services available that the schools have to provide for the therapy then. Um,
Even listen, I have made a pledge that I am going to be the first person. I'm going to make another precedent. I know I'm going to do it to get, because a lot of special needs students have what we call a paraprofessional.
yeah, right, right. Mhm.
And because of this pandemic, no paraprofessional is going into the home. They're saying, oh, because of COVID. You're still denying the child, because a paraprofessional can come in if the child is entitled to a free and appropriate education and you are then providing that education remotely, then all the services must come remotely with that.
Mhm.
You understand? But you
Yeah.
have to present a plausible argument to get the para in the home. And
Well,
that's what I'm going to do.
I got something for you.
Talk to me.
There is some VR technology being beta tested to have special need children, actually all children, but more, this is specifically for special needs children, for community activities, to say like crossing the road safely, to say approaching a checkout counter or whatever it is, cleaning your house, getting your room ready, doing, I don't know what it all does, but like I said,
Right.
my girlfriend's in special ed, so there's like a VR thing going on where they're like developing technology to say, okay, we're going to send this VR home unit with you, and then the teacher can access it remotely and say, okay, walk you through a scenario without endangering you to the public health crisis. Like
Right.
there
Right.
are some serious technologies that are
Serious
being
technology out
developed,
there.
and I
Yes.
think that is a huge um, lane for advocacy for people, especially then there's people with like the mental anxiety part. They can't be in a classroom with
Who
30
is developing
people.
this technology?
I don't know, and she can't say. She's in this beta testing thing right now. They're
Because
trying to
then
figure it out.
with
Yeah,
my clients, what I could do is present that as a
as an option.
plausible argument.
Yep, we'll
It's
definitely be in touch.
arguments that win.
Oh, by the way, I'm coming to New York City with my
All
girlfriend
right,
in
so we're
June.
gonna have lunch or dinner, something.
I'm
Or you
coming
want me
to.
to cook some curry? You want me to cook some curry goat for you?
Oh, for sure. Oh, for sure.
Yes.
But so we're coming in June to come help Andrew Yang because he's running for New York City mayor.
Oh yes.
And so I don't know if you know this, his son is autistic and he goes
No,
to
I did
public.
not know.
Yeah, his
Oh,
oldest
I
son is
did
autistic
not
and
know
he
that.
goes to school in the public school system. So I think you might be a good advocate for his campaign on special needs. And
Oh,
here's my girlfriend Diana.
that. Hold on a minute. Let me put on my glasses. Hi, Diana.
Yes, so she's my girlfriend
Oh,
special
she's
ed
not
teacher.
live. I thought she was live.
No, just on the comment. That's her
Okay.
comment I
Okay.
bring up here. Um, but so me and her are coming in June to New York
Yes,
City
man.
for at least a good week. Um,
Yes, man. Yes,
but
man.
I think we should do something to help you get contact with him. Maybe like be an advocate for the campaign too, to make sure his policies.
I would love that.
Yeah, to make sure
I
his
would.
policy page reflects what's legally required and make a commitment to it. For
And you know
Andrew Yang.
something, it's funny that you're saying this about campaign. My son, Baggio, just told me, I think it was Friday night. I was, talk on the phone talking with someone about something about their child. He says, Mom, why don't you include me in your special when you're doing things? If you're speaking about anything, I want to come with you. Because he's very
Hmm.
bright. He's
Yeah,
not shy. And I never thought of that. Just to put a face to my journey.
yeah. No, I
Yeah.
think that's something that can be done. I'll have to find out where his campaign office is, if he has a physical one or not. But he
Right,
goes to
right.
all 5 boroughs. What borough do you reside in?
Brooklyn. I live in Brooklyn.
Brooklyn. I'm coming to Brooklyn. I actually live streamed with uh, 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 some podcasters in Brooklyn. Um, gosh, I can't remember. I know a couple people in Queens that are part of the Yang campaign. So I'm a YouTuber for Andrew Yang when he was running for president. So
I have not studied his campaign, but I have seen in passing online
mhm.
some serious, like, he's gonna do that, like the unconventional.
Yes.
this attending to the needs of the neglected man.
Yep.
He's like
Excellent.
his tenets. I've passed it somewhere, where I've seen. I'm like, seriously, like the tenets of what he's about, of
Mhm.
what he's purporting is never been seen. Very unconventional.
Well, he so like I said, his son is special needs in a public school system. So I really do think that that's maybe
I
you
think
should
he's gonna
reach
win the
out.
campaign. I think he
We
will, because Bill de Blasio mash up the place. Mash up the place. Mash up the place. Oh Lord, there I go with my colloquialism. Audience, forgive me,
uh,
please, for me.
oh, here we go. So I'm going to show you his forward-thinking education section on his website. He says here he's a proud parent of a New York City public school student. And he's a big teacher guy, teacher guy. And let's see here. There's a section on. Oh yeah, he talks about numbers. That's his thing. Talk about progressing New York, and reopening schools in person during the pandemic. How to do it
Yes.
safely. Now here's the thing about. He says, oh, okay. So he says, first, we need to safely reopen schools. We must take what we've learned in the pandemic, especially with respect to the inequities in the system, and create a truly modern education system that can serve as an example to the rest of the world. We also need to find a way to make sure that all children with unique needs can have them met by our public education system. Andrew is fortunate that his family can afford to navigate the system for his older son with autism, but we must ensure that all children receive a free and appropriate education. Those are your words, free and appropriate. I've heard you say that a few times.
Several times. Several
So
times.
I think
It's
he
called
aligns.
faith. Faith.
I think he aligns with your
Yeah.
point of view, and I think
Yeah.
you'd be a welcome asset, a welcome advocate to help him even get better talking points, and
Oh,
you know what I
definitely.
mean, like really help him get to
I'm
the forefront.
passionate about special ed. Yes.
So like I said, his son is in the public school system. He's an advocate. His I think his brother's a psychologist, and his wife is a special needs advocate on her own in her own way as well.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Where yeah, they talk about a lot on the campaign, but yeah, I definitely want to try and help you make that connection and maybe get you in contact
Thank
with the
you.
right people, man. That's why I thought it was a good idea to talk to you, because of my interest in this,
Yes.
and my girlfriend's vocation, uh, and it's just neurodiversity, man, is fascinating to me. Because you have like savants. To me, a savant is I think it's modern day evolution where the brain is trying to figure out how to be better. So it
Yes.
specializes, but it takes away from this to get to this
To
point,
get to the
and
yes,
it's trying to
yes.
figure out that balance. Like I think
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
autistic savants are the future of what we're capable of.
I believe that. I
So that's
believe
something I've
that.
been
I believe that.
yeah,
Some of the stuff, and I think he has not been diagnosed with autism,
yeah.
but I see a little bit of it in him with a touch of savant.
Mm.
I remember years ago, years ago, he was about 9, and he said to me, he says, he's a TV guy, so he was about 9 years old, and he would say to me, "Mom, can you change the channel?" And I said, "Why?" You say, "I must watch it. You said you wanted to watch it." And he would tell me, "They have subliminal messages in these cartoons. I don't want to watch." 9 years old, I don't want to watch it. They have subliminal messages. I don't want to watch it. I'm gonna say, "Why is it subliminal?" He said, "Mom," and he said, "Okay, sit." And he would tell me to sit, and he would say, "You see that?" He would listen. He would say, "Listen for the key words. They're alluding to things that's not appropriate for me." I mean, and that's amazing.
Mm.
9 years old.
Well, we have a guy here, my friend here. He says I had an IEP in Beverly Hills High School. He's an LA guy.
Really?
Yeah.
Ooh. Without being, I want to find the right adjective, without being too forward. Sir, what's his name?
His name's Ariel, but his It can't
Ariel, were
rep-
all your educational needs met? Did that the Beverly Hills High School District, did they honor your IEP? Did they do render the services
yeah,
and
let's see what he
administer the educational plan according to what your IEP reflected?
yeah. He says, I think so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's Beverly Hills. It's the zip code. It's a zip code kind of thing.
Resources. Yeah.
Zip code kind of thing.
Well, that's the thing too. Like in our area, like where my girlfriend works at, it's a county system that everybody in the county sends their kids there. So it's a pooling of resources that's necessary to provide it in a rural setting. But I think the remote VR is the key to the future of not having to risk their lives going on these snowy roads in a
Yes.
handicap accessible wheelchair transportation van or bus, and just risking all that's unnecessary.
Exactly.
They can get into a VR set and be in a physical classroom with their peers in there and actually communicate. I think that's the future, is doing VR learning, especially for rural areas. New York City is a special place where New York has the resources. It has the biggest school system in the country.
They have the resource. It is. I'm going to say this, and it may sound like an oxymoron. They have. It's the best. One of the best school districts to have a child with special needs.
Okay.
However, there's a lot of fight because they have the resources. They just don't expend the resources.
Yeah.
Because they know the most of the population of Black and brown people don't know them what they deserve or what the child is entitled to.
Don't know their rights.
No, them don't know.
Yeah.
And when I try to tell them, you know how many parents I try to educate, and they just throw them on in the ear. They're just like, I can't do that. I say, yes, you can do it.
What about transportation, like the public transit? So I know I talked to a candidate last year that was running for state Congress, and her main platform was handicap accessibility for the subways, because they would shut down stations.
They have been doing it incrementally. It is not widespread as it should be.
Yeah.
But they have been doing it incrementally. It's been slow, but they have been, because I've seen a lot of but one of the things that they have here is something called Accessoride. My son uses it.
What's that?
It is a transportation system. It's owned by private companies, different private companies, but it's subsidized by New York City. What do you call that?
Public transit,
the MTA, yeah, by
yeah,
MTA.
yeah.
It's subsidized by MTA. So you pay $2. They come and they get you at the curb in front of your door, on the street. Take you to any borough anywhere within the 5 boroughs of New York City.
For
anywhere.
$2.
So if you live in Brooklyn and you want to go to a game over at Staten Island or in Queens, or you want to go to the doctor up in Harlem,
that's a long ride.
And they come back and pick you up. And you all you pay is $2.75.
So that's a great resource. That's awesome that they do that.
Yeah.
So does your son use like a powered wheelchair, or is it a manual?
He does.
Okay.
No, he uses a power wheelchair.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Again, I'm in PT, so I know all about the fitting and the level of need per chair. And I know how heavy them suckers are. So you just can't get in a regular old hookup. You got to have a reinforced flooring.
I call them Terminators.
Yeah. Yeah. The top of the line stuff, you're talking as much as a used car, like $20,000 for a legit rest of your life chair. I call them. Once you're done growing.
The power chairs are specifically their specifications. Not all power chairs are the same,
right?
So there are specific specifications for the client or the patient. So they come with a lot of trappings.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing too. Like that's why I wondered about transportation, because Uber doesn't help you if it's not handicap accessible. That doesn't exist if you're in a powered chair. You need a hydraulic lift on the back of the van.
Yes.
So yeah,
Yes.
I was curious about that. I'm looking forward to coming to New York City with my girlfriend. I cannot wait.
Yes. Yes.
It's gonna be June. It's gonna be beautiful. Go to the park. We're gonna try and do like a big hang there, like an outdoor event there, and we want to try and help people get registered to vote.
Yes,
And,
I want to be. I'm definitely up for it.
okay,
Totally up
Sophia,
for
we're
it.
gonna make plans, man. We gotta stay in touch.
Yes.
We gotta come
Yes.
out there. We gotta have some curry.
Yes.
I know my girlfriend's gonna be down in some roti. You got any roti?
Yeah, I don't make roti, but I can take you to get roti.
We can go check it out. I got lots of
Yeah.
people there that want to go do stuff.
You like oxtails too?
Oh God, yes. Oxtail? Are you kidding me? Yeah, that's me and my girlfriend just talking about that. I asked her. Actually, I was there Saturday and Sunday. I asked her. I was like, I ask her weird little questions every once in a while. I'm like, you know what? If you're dying tomorrow, what's the meal you're gonna eat tonight? And she's like, oxtail. And I'm like,
And nobody cooks oxtail like a Jamaican.
well, we have a guy
Nobody.
here that owns a restaurant, a friend of mine named Ray. We went to his house. I was trying to do like my first time. I bought this.
He's a
camera.
Jamaican?
No. He's just a cook, like a chef. So I bought this new 4K camera. I wanted to set up and do a trial run of videotaping it and editing of this new equipment. Oh, oxtail is Trinidad. Oh, okay, that's Trini.
Roti's Trini. What do you know about Trini? And she using the Trini.
Yeah. Well,
Is she West Indian?
her cousin Lisa is Bohemian.
Oh,
Yeah.
Bahamian. Oh,
Yeah.
Oh,
Bahamas.
nobody use the word Trini unless they're from the islands.
Right. Or from a neighborhood in America that's like Dominican or
Yeah.
Cuban.
Trini,
Yeah.
Trini. Yeah.
But she's like
Wow.
ox tails, man. Yeah. We went to my
And
buddy's
you
house.
like the rice and peas too, drenched in coconut milk?
Oh,
Have you ever had that? The rice
and her
and peas?
aunt is Trini. Okay.
Oh, your aunt is Trini.
Yeah. So I go to her house on the holidays last year, man. I think I gained
Similar.
10 pounds that day.
And
It
the
was so
food
good, though.
spicy and nice.
Yeah. We actually, me and her did the hottest gummy bear made with like 9 million Scoville heat index. It was ridiculous. But we did it together, live streamed it, and we suffered. I like trying hot shit sometimes just to test myself. And the other day, me and my son went to the wings joint to go watch a basketball game, and I got the hottest wing on that sucker, and it about killed me.
You know what I have there? I have something, and I'm gonna save it. I'm gonna touch it. It's been sitting there since December of 2020. Have you ever had sorrel?
No.
You know what that is?
No, I don't know what that is.
It's a Jamaican mixture. Comes from the plant sorrel. Sorrel is known to help thyroid. It cures cancer. It's a part of the cancer curing thing. But we in Jamaica, we use it as a drink. It's just a regular drink. And every December, Christmas time, we make sorrel. So we get the fresh sorrel, pick it, we boil it, we let it sit overnight, then we mix it with 100% overproof Jamaican rum.
Oh.
Something called red label wine, which is from Jamaica, dark brown sugar, and ginger. Listen to me. I am not touching it. And it can sit there for 1,000 years, 2,000 years, and it ages and better than wine.
Like a wine, right?
Sitting there, I made 4 bottles, and my son literally drank 3 because I was on my keto diet and I couldn't touch it. So I have a 3/4 bottle sitting there, and I swear I am not touching it. It is for you and your girlfriend. When you taste that,
boy,
I may have to make some for you to take home. I don't know.
I think she knows what she said.
Taking the plane.
She said we're driving. Yep, I'm driving.
Okay, you know about sorrel.
She knows what it is. Yeah.
Yes.
But I love diverse foods now. Like I want to try more things. I'm not a big veggie guy. Like I'm not really into a whole lot of vegetables. Like I like green beans and asparagus and like,
I'm an asparagus girl. I love some asparagus.
I like beans and rice though. That's one of my favorites.
When I make beans and rice, you don't have to eat it with meat.
Oh, but I must.
Rich and fresh coconut milk. And with the scallion and the thyme and the pimento and the rice is just falling off the fork. It's so shelly. Yeah.
But yeah,
It's not stuck to the fork.
we're definitely coming out there. I got one guy who says he's gonna take me to the New York pizza joint to have the biggest pizza, the slice of pizza or whatever. I'm like, all right. And Nell is Puerto Rican. He lives in Queens.
Right.
Then are my two friends that are over in Brooklyn by the bridge. That doesn't
The
narrow.
Verzano
The one that
or
goes
the
to
Brooklyn
Jersey.
Bridge? Yeah, Verzano. That's the Verzano.
Okay. Yeah, so they live over in that area. So I got a lot of boroughs to cover when I come there, man. But we're gonna try and have like a big get together with everyone from the 5 boroughs come to one place and have like a
Nice.
big hangout.
The
So
human component, the human soul, the human fiber, we and I'm saying this collectively, we are literally starving to death from not communing.
oh yeah. I didn't see my girlfriend or my kids for 4 or 5 weeks because of my job where I was seeing COVID patients in their homes.
It-
So I couldn't risk it. And so I didn't see, hug, kiss, nothing.
we cannot
I can't.
thrive as humanity without loving on each other. We can't thrive. Why you think the children are getting are relapsing since this whole COVID thing?
Mhm.
Because without the social aspect of school development in anyone is contingent upon a social,
Yeah.
communal
I'm
aspect.
I'm worried about this, my kids' generation of becoming hypochondriacs and chronically depressed because my daughter's school, they had a kid, a junior, commit suicide 2 weeks ago. You
That's
know,
why I love my. That's why you see when I work with the few clients that I have, when I work with them, and because I come from a different culture, I ingratiate that as Americans. Americans are taught to too much fear, and where there is fear, there is apathy. Where there is apathy, there is no love. Where there's no love, there is no care. Where
mm,
there is no care, then that society suffers.
yeah,
I've been in Whole Food shopping, beloved, and I'm a black woman, and I've been in Whole Food shopping, and I'm tall. I'm very tall.
okay,
So this has happened to me in Whole Food several times. I'm in Whole Food shopping, and I've seen Caucasian women who they're shopping to, and they want to read something, and they're literally
too
killing
short.
themselves, but they're looking at me hoping, but they're petrified. Like if they feel like if they ask me to take something down, that is a violation. Let me tell you, that Caucasian woman, or those Caucasian, because I've encountered it many times, those Caucasian women didn't just, society put them in that head that if you ask for help, and if someone takes care of you without asking you for a dollar, when I do it, I always chide them lovingly. I say, you want me to take this down? And they say, oh yes. And they always say, I'm so sorry. I say, listen to me. Don't you dare apologize to me for doing what the universe has given me this morning.
Well, here's a great
I
comment from
do.
my boy. He says, "Fear leads to anger, anger leads to hate, hate leads to
Talk the truth.
that
RD, talk the truth.
hardy hat."
Yes,
Yeah, and that's really what it is a cycle of pain
we are the
and
society
suffering.
too far removed from the human component.
So Nicholas here says this stream seems to be full of people who are not negatively affected by special education as I was. No one here understands the problem with that system. She does. That's what she does, Nick. That's her thing. She's an advocate. And
You
I'm
have any
interested.
questions, Nick? Talk to me, Nick. Let's. Would you like to share
Yeah,
with
Nick.
us?
Nick, would you like to jump in the stream with us and talk? I can send you the link. Actually, you know what I do? This is something I do sometimes once we get through. So let's officially end the actual thing. So how can people reach out to you to get in contact with you for services?
Okay, they can go and book a solution call on the website
Mm-hmm.
and fill out the form, and I will. And once they fill out the form, that takes them to my calendar. Where they can choose the date and time that they want the call to take place.
Okay, so guys, here's the StreamYard link. If you want to jump in here and ask questions, here's the link. You can jump in here with us, ask questions or say hello or talk from your own experience like Nick here. Copy and paste this link and you can jump in here with us. Now it's like a call-in show type of section where
Yes.
let people
Come
just
on
jump in
in.
here. If you guys want to, feel free to.
Yes.
I'd like to talk more about what Nick is saying about the negative aspects of the system, and that's probably what your entire 22-year experience has been.
Yes.
Offsetting that negativity and
yes.
representing people that don't have endless resources to hire a lawyer to do it for you.
And
So you're
demystifying, as one of my speaking topics says, demystifying the power.
yeah. Come on, Hardy Hat. Yeah. So like that's why I love live streaming. I talk to people about their thing, and then these conversations go in a weird way.
I love it.
New paths, and then bring people in. It's fun for me.
Yes.
But yeah, that's what we do, man. We do this stuff all the time, and I'm just counting down coming to
New York City.
York.
Yes.
Okay, here's Ariel coming in. What's up, Ariel?
Yo, what's
Hey,
up?
Ariel.
Guy from California.
Yeah.
Visionary thinking, Ariel. Yes. Hi, Ariel.
Yes.
How are you?
Hi, I'm doing great.
Hey, Hardy.
Hey, what's up?
Hi, beloved.
So you guys said that you went through the system in school, your experiences. Like Hardy Hat, go ahead and share what you were talking about when you said you went through the system.
Well, basically, I was pretty lucky. The special ed system in the school I went to was actually pretty well known for being a good one.
Okay.
There was actually a girl that her dad drove her down from Fort Wayne, the nearest big city, it was like North Fort Wayne, so it was a good hour-and-a-half drive just to come to our little small town school that had a better special education system. So I was pretty lucky, I have to admit.
Yeah, supply and demand, brother.
Mm-hmm.
Where are you from?
From Northeast Indiana.
Oh, okay.
He's about an hour from me.
Oh, all right.
Yep.
Just checking.
A bit more. I'm south of Fort Wayne.
Oh, okay.
But
yeah, we're by like Granger. No, not Granger. I'm trying to think. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Yeah, you're about an hour and some change away.
yeah, roughly.
Yeah, but yeah, so you had a good experience and they fulfilled your needs, and that we need more of that. That's for damn sure.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and they had a class that I think should be universal, not just special ed. It was called Adult Studies, where basically they teach you how to balance a checkbook, and stuff like that. Like that should be universal. That shouldn't be special ed.
Yes.
Yeah.
Financial literacy needs to be taught at all levels, including college.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Ariel, what was your experience?
Yeah. My experience, it was okay. It just what was it like all throughout? Well, middle school for me was like hell, and I never kind of got the help that I needed, or like my teachers were really bad. But then I remember the half point of 10th grade. I had like one English teacher, and I'll never forget her. Her name was like Miss Graham, and she was like a fascist. And I like hated the class, and like I don't like so then they switched me over because she kept on like assigning so much work, like book reports one after another, like all these assignments and stuff. And you know what, I was like, okay, I can't take this anymore. So they gave me, that's when they gave me an IEP. And I'll never forget the other English teacher. Her name was Miss Benson. And she would have like parties in class like every other month and a half or something like that, just to like honor and celebrate the students. But what I liked about her is that she had a passion for what she did, and she enjoyed it, and I respected that. And I always say that, look, like the children don't choose to be here. Like the young people don't choose to be here, but you people as teachers, you made a choice to be teachers. We didn't make the choice to be students, so that should be respected. And yeah, so then things kind of went better for me. And then in 11th grade, had this thing. I remember I had this class called workability, where they kind of like show you the ropes of like doing that, and they try to find you jobs and stuff. Then when I went to Santa Monica College, they didn't have special classes, but they had like a disability like department that would like accommodate like extra time and things like that. But just my main anyway, all that being said, my main frustration with the system is that it just doesn't prepare you for the digital world, for real life, like none of the stuff. It's like you just get over it. And look, like I'm coming out from like, you know, an elite, you know, school. I'm
Right.
coming out from a very, very school, and I still didn't feel as if I was prepared for anything. You know? So
That's the failures in the system. Yeah, go ahead, Sophia.
What's his name? Revolutionary Thinking. Is that your name?
yeah, Ariel, but that's my
Ariel.
YouTube name.
You said that the students didn't choose to be in this position. And it's the teachers. I agree with the first part of your comment about the students not, you know, they're not elective of how they end up being special eds or disabled children. But I want to tell you that the teachers, and I've learned this through, I was shocked when I came upon this. It was not, you know, I literally stumbled upon this chasm that the teachers who teach in special ed, they are powerless. They are going by the mandate that the district set. So when a child is shortchanged, it's not the teacher. They are following what the chancellor and the district set. And I was floored when I stumbled when I I'm like, what?
Oh, just to be, I'm talking about. I wasn't talking about. I'm just talking about in general. I'm not even talking about like special ed. I'm just talking about the attitude and the kind of thing that the teachers come up with. Because I remember in middle school, and a lot of the teachers that I didn't like would come to class announcing their bad mood, announcing that they weren't happy about
their bad mood.
I swear, I had a history teacher in 8th grade, and I hated her because she would always come to class every day, like being like, okay, just be quiet, just like get to work, and like, I'm not in a good mood today. And it's like, what the hell, lady? Like that, you know what I mean? And it's not fair to like the student. That's what I'm saying. I've had a lot of teachers that were like, oh, I wouldn't even want to be here if like I could find something else, or like, you know, stuff like that. And this was like middle school, and I'm like, and the administration like did nothing about it. And maybe some of them didn't hate their jobs, but some of them were just like, they're just like torturing kids. It's just like, it's terrible.
Well, I'll say that good teachers are underpaid and underappreciated and undersupported.
Yeah,
because
that's for sure.
It's hard to be a good teacher in a shitty system too.
Yeah,
exactly.
It doesn't matter how passionate you are. It doesn't matter how much technique or skill or experience you bring to it. If it's underserved and under-resourced and under-supported, you're gonna struggle.
But I'll just say that big up, but the special ed teachers, some of them, like the IEP ones, like they were my favorite because like they didn't what was it, like they don't judge, and they don't put you in that position where they're putting you under so much stress and pressure. And you know, I really appreciate that, and they appreciate like having you as a student. Whereas some of the regular, more kind of like AP or, you know, stuff like that, they like I had a math teacher in middle school, and he was an asshole. Like he would call us yahoos, and he would make jokes like, he would make jokes like next victims come up to the board. He would like undermine us and stuff.
That's in Beverly Hills.
Yeah, that's in Beverly Hills. Yeah.
Yeah, that's in Beverly Hills. Yeah, that nonsense. Yeah, that Beverly Hills. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
well,
yeah, next victim up to the board. And then when we would like mess something up, he'd be like, no, like don't be, you know, dummy. And it's like you're just just being an ass, and
Bully.
not only that, but I just found that like in my middle school, I just found myself like dying of boredom. Like the teacher, like the teachers would do nothing to make it like interesting and exciting. So I like half the time, like I would fall asleep. Like I'm not kidding you. And I had like one of them, he would like shake me and stuff, and I'm like, well, don't make it so boring. I don't know what to say, but it was like, yeah, but never with the special ed teachers somehow. Yeah.
Well, and I think the special ed teachers are special people because they have the biggest hearts and the most compassion to take on
that's
that
for sure.
path of helping people with deficits overcome those deficits, become as independent as possible.
Right. Yeah.
And it's a family thing. Like the parents are part of it too, where in a different relationship, parents are bringing their problems and issues to it too to hopefully bridge that gap.
Well, the sad thing is that you have some of these teachers who are just there for like years and years and years on end, and they've like checked out.
Yes.
And so and then that no. Yeah, that's the one that I had as like a history teacher and a math teacher. So it's like, it's not our freaking fault that you were here for like 15 years and we happen to be, like you said, your next victims. Like,
and then in New York
piss
City,
me
you
off.
have something called tenure. In New York State, you have something called tenure. And most of these city workers, they just leech off of that whole tenure.
This is funny. Now, this is university called CSUN, and I was in for an online class. So the professor actually said I had tenure. Even if I do something as egregious as go in front of the library and like pee in front of there, like even then, like you can't even get me fired. Like just as a joke. You meant as a joke, but it's kind of true. It's like they can.
We had a teacher in my school that his last 4 years was just sitting in the detention room because he assaulted a student with a book. He hit a guy in the back of the head with a biology book. Sideways.
Oh my God. Yeah.
What?
Sideways. Yeah, he's like, shut the hell up. Whap. And threw the book and smacked him in the head with it. And they suspended him for a couple weeks. They brought him back.
He came back.
He had tenure. So he sits in the room.
Right.
Like when I was there, he's like Dwight Schrute of public schools. He literally gutted a pheasant. Processed a pheasant during class.
Was that part of a science project, or
We
like?
weren't talking about none of that. It had nothing. We're like talking about cell division, like mitosis and meiosis and stuff like that. And here he is cutting the bird's throat. Peeling the skin down, just pulling on it, and then gutting it, and it's like on a big silver.
Is it alive or dead?
Oh, it's definitely dead.
Oh, okay, it's dead. Okay,
like,
I was scared.
He went hunting, brought him in. So you go hunting before school, bring him in, and then gut that sucker. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yep, Michigan. His name is Mr. Hedig.
Sounds like a
sociopath. Eternal.
That's a sociopath.
He's a miserable prick. Is what he was. And he was like a monotone bear. Okay, go to the 6 pages and do the quiz.
God, I can't stand that.
No enthusiasm. But hey, I want to address this comment here that Nick's sharing with us. He says, problem number 1 with special education system, it has to be a law that all special education has to be equal to the regular classes taught to the students. I have a severe deficit in my middle school learning in particular because of this. Number 2, school faculty and students have a negative opinion of special education students, absolutely stigmatized. They are bullied, harassed, even assaulted.
Oh my God.
They are lesser. All bullies, students, and faculty need to be dealt with 100%. If you know about bullying or do anything about it, you are guilty of sin 100%.
Talk the truth.
Start firing faculty who bully students and stop making excuses. 100% agree.
Talk truth.
Yeah. That's that good old boy system. That's the blue line. That's the teacher's line. It's the union thing where I have no problem with teachers' unions, but you have to have a mechanism to weed out the people that are making the experience unsafe and dysfunctional. Like I said, we had a teacher hit someone with a book.
Right.
That whole that's why I, throughout my journey, I've learned about and I've always said one of the biggest tenets of how I handle my service in expending my services, arguments win. Now, when you have someone with any kind of learning deficit or emotional, that puts them in the special needs or in special education category, anything or anyone who creates a chasm and attacks that deficit,
Mhm.
that's a civil rights issue
Oh,
right
absolutely.
there.
Absolutely.
Plain, you're talking federal court.
Mhm.
When I ask you, we stop talk. We talk to the district one time. If the district now listen, federal court.
Next
Because
one.
remember, that condition, and I'm using that word, I don't like to use the word, but I'm using that, I hypothetically, is now in essence your personhood.
Yes. Right.
And anyone who attacks your personhood,
Yep.
then
Civil.
that's
Yeah,
absolutely
Mhm.
like
arguments. What?
I
This man, what you're saying is true, but nobody not do it. Again, parents think they're powerless, and I think what parents do, they get lost in this noise. This is the noise they get lost in. When a special education child, that never happened to Baggio. I don't know how it not happened to Baggio. It has never. They lit. His students in when he was in public school, they used to hug on him. The baddest child that is kicking the student down, because public school student not easy. They'll kick the teacher down. They would hug him, and he would. Baggio would always be the one to. Teachers would tell me, Baggio is reprimanding the baddest kids, and they're listening. Listen to me. I'm gonna step outside of the whole cute look. Nobody, and I'm gonna go Jamaican now. No picnic could have never hurt my child when
Mm.
him have a public. You want me a murder? Me I go murder you. You can't do.
Yeah.
You mad? That will never happen. I'm not. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I went left. Listen, me is no longer but I am now a Jamaican. Straight. Me now
Well,
you mad?
yeah,
You're
it becomes it's visceral then.
You're gonna hurt my child, and you're gonna
yeah.
say, what? You're
Well,
fucking
okay.
crazy.
Think about it. Like in any other setting, you go to a store. Could the employee like smack you or something like that? Just because it amazes me.
What Hardy said is
How-
true.
You
Hardy
know.
telling the truth.
Mhm.
Hardy, you brought up a.
Oh, are
valid
you
point.
talking about me or him?
No.
Oh, Ariel. I'm Ariel.
Who's the one that says the bullying needs to be dealt with?
Oh, that's Nicholas.
That's Nicholas.
Yes.
Oh, Nicholas, so why you don't come on the line?
Yeah, I don't know. He might not have access with a webcam or something possible.
Nicholas,
telling.
you brought up a serious point.
Mhm.
And
The bullying.
they are not addressing it. They are what they have done with the special needs children that are being bullied and attacked literally physically. The school districts have intellectualized the behavior. You can't intellectualize evil. You can't do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Evil.
Mhm. Well, I want to ask. My girlfriend Diana jumped in here. She
One
must
second,
have on
one
her.
second.
She
One
must
second.
have on her. Diana, do you have on your night scarf or something? That's why not on video.
Yes, it's bedtime.
I figured. She goes to bed early, gets up early. She works out at 5
You're going to
a.m.
bed now, Diana?
Yeah, she's an early bird.
Absolutely.
No, Diana, I can't deal with you. I can't deal with you. I'm a night owl.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Diana-
You're going to bed now?
Yes, and I'm usually up by 4:45. So an early bedtime is necessary.
Girl, your cells must be repairing.
That's the
You
goal.
must have the best cells ever.
Her skin
I'm
is
trying,
impeccable.
Sophia. Wow,
Any
thanks.
disease come and near your body, they literally run in petrify.
But Diana, I want to ask you: do you experience any? Have you guys had any problems with bullying in your system?
I would say no because we're not a traditional public school. Everyone in our school is special needs. So
Oh,
we're
that's right.
servicing
Separate.
MOSI, SXI, SCI.
Oh.
So we don't deal with that because everyone has something.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas in a traditional high school or middle school, you just have a few rooms, resource rooms that maybe have some special needs students.
Yeah,
All of the students that we service are special needs.
that's why I think it's a special one because of the county. It's all the county sends their kids there, and
Right.
yeah.
And then we provide all of the services. We have physical therapists, OT, PTAs, we have speech therapists, all in the school.
Hmm.
Are you guys remote learning now?
Some students are. We are in person, though. There are some who chose to do remote.
Okay.
Well,
But
unfortunately, some parents treat it like daycare because they didn't want to deal with their kids at home. They needed a break. You know.
Look back at learning in a global pandemic. A teacher, a parent, sorry, I'm taking lozenges. A parent should never, ever be forced to parent and educate their child at the same time unless it's an elective decision.
Yeah, it's tough.
And what a lot of school districts are doing during this under the guise of the pandemic, and the teachers are with the unions are at the back like pushing the fire,
Hmm.
is they don't want to go back into the classroom. And so we're talking special needs children now are now just being left to, as my grandmother would say, they're left to dry out in the sun. And what I am my one of my what my next embark I what I want to embark upon is, since you guys are going to be so adamant that these kids are going to die if they come in the classroom, or you're going to die, bring all of these services into the home. That's what I want to fight for next.
Hmm.
Because if you are still if you because you not if because you are still mandated under federal law to provide these services on that student's IEP,
Hmm.
where you provide the service is irrelevant.
Yeah.
How you just have to provide them, and you can provide them in a safe and way.
Well, I know our school systems that I've worked for that contract us out through our healthcare system, that I've been sent out to help kids with like one kid had Duchenne's muscular dystrophy, which is very, very aggressive.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had to go work with the grandmother because the mother bailed. Like
What?
she
Oh,
bailed.
yeah.
She left him. And the dad never wanted nothing to do with him. Oh no, I'm not dealing with that. So the parents bail and the grandma's left with him.
Is
And
he non-ambulatory?
oh yeah, he's Duchenne's muscular dystrophy affects your trunk. So he hasn't walked in years, and he graduated already now, but he was in my niece's senior class. Very, very intelligent kid, but he is trapped in his body, like a Stephen Hawking moment where
Yes.
he is absolutely intelligent, but his body is failing him. It's like,
Yeah.
the muscles are dying in his trunk, so he cannot sit up unsupported. He had one of those. He had those wings in the rib cage that kept him from falling forward. All that kind of special adaptation stuff. So,
Mhm.
but the school had to provide people at the school. They had to provide they'd have someone certified to do maintenance on the chair if it was faulty, stuff like that. And they there was some snow days, and he got really sick, and they asked us to go out there for a couple of days that week to help the mom out and do some teaching. So there are resources out there that can be moved around, especially like you're talking about billing the federal government and the state for services not rendered. I mean, that's a lawsuit if I ever heard one. Yeah, there's so much possibilities with remote learning now that we have infrastructure now. There should be zero.
Exactly.
Well,
all the infrastructure in place now.
Like here's the thing that like they call it special needs, but like a lot of kids like have special talents that like schools don't recognize, like creativity. They don't recognize artistry. They don't recognize any of that stuff, and it boggles my mind how like when I went into this thing, I went to the YWCA and I learned like 3D printing, and I was making like shapes and like military like jets and submarines all out of like nothing, just through like drawing and stuff like that. But where are you gonna get these things, and like the career services center, like the one I even had at my community college, they were terrible. They wouldn't do anything. They wouldn't guide you, and it's like, you got to step up. You got to like see where these young people are talented and what their passions are, and how you can work with that, not just judge them through some stupid
I said that
test,
in the beginning. I said that. Yep.
Yeah. Well, and let's be real. The high school to prison pipeline is a real thing.
Oh my.
The high school to the factory job to the military pipeline is real. It needs to be rethought because we need to get people to be evaluated, maybe, or interviewed more than interview the kids in 6th grade and say, okay, what's your passions? Like, what do you like? Oh, you like video games? You want to learn how to code videos, or you want to learn how to build a game system and begin into electronics or engineering? You can develop that.
There is actually a school system that is a lot better at that. It's called a democratic free school, and
what state?
Massachusetts. There was one in Sudbury. I did a report on that. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Like the first one was over in England. It started in like the 1920s, and it sounds really, really radical, but the one that opened in the 20s is still going strong.
I bet.
Democratic free school?
Yep. And basically it's a school system where all the students and all the staff vote on everything, and everyone has an equal vote. And the students outnumber the staff like probably 10-1 usually. And so classes aren't mandatory. And it's been a while since I've read up on this, but basically you're free to do whatever you want. And it works. It seems to work, which is the amazing thing. And in the one in England, there have been stories about, 1 year the kids decided to just voted to get rid of all the rules, and it was complete mayhem for like 3 days. And then they voted in more rules than they had before. They seen the cause and effect of it.
Self-censorship, self-regulation, self-discipline.
Yeah.
That's a hell of a 3 days, though, I'm sure. But I'm going to look into there's a college called Evergreen College where they have a different style of teaching, where if you're that's where Brett Weinstein came from, where if you're there you take a class on, let's say you take a course on biology. But that teacher is there to teach you biology, chemistry, physics, all of it in a row. Like they're assigned to you. You are assigned to them. This class is going to learn together, and they're free to teach anything where the conversation goes. There's no regulatory checklist for them. Like they got to pass a test, yes, but we don't care how you get there and what you got to do. So that Evergreen College, I think, is another example of a different style of learning. But I'm looking into this. That's a good suggestion. I'm going to look into that democratic free school systems. Oh, wow. Nicholas says the school system is like a daycare. The library in his town is used like a daycare as well. Oh, God. That's disgusting.
What?
Where you at, Nicholas, first of all?
Yeah,
where you at, brother? But yeah, I got to check out in 20 minutes just to give you guys a heads up.
Okay, sure.
That'll be a 2-hour mark. But I love these live streams and these questions. Okay, he says you see it consistently. Children who are not watched by their parents all have similar. Oh yeah. Unruly, undisciplined little turds. Yeah.
Yeah.
Future asshole psychopaths is what they are.
Talk the truth.
Yeah.
Talk the truth. Talk the truth.
In and out of jail or at the bar or
talk the truth. Talk the truth.
Total jackasses the rest of their life with piss poor parenting.
Where are you, Hardy?
From northeast Indiana, which is farm country, a lot of corn.
You're Midwest.
Yep, Midwest.
Yeah, I'm in Southwest Michigan. I'm along the Lake Michigan coast, by like 100 miles from Chicago, like the southwest corner of the state. And then Diana lives about 20, 30 minutes from me. Ariel's in LA. And you're in New York City. I can't wait.
Yes.
Oh, I'm so excited to come to the city, man.
Yes.
Well, anyway, in the private chat, I did a speech on in college on the democratic schooling, so it's all there. Yeah.
I'm going to look that up.
Great.
So that's one of those. Who owns that?
The one in England is actually privately owned. Like, it's a private school. It's actually a boarding school. Like, the kids live there. And I don't think it gets any government money, like, at all. I think it's all
Independent.
Independently funded. But as far as I can tell, the tuition isn't super expensive. Like, if you add up everything you spend on, like, textbooks and lunches and stuff like that, and the tuition to one of those schools, as far as I know, it's been a while since I've looked into it. It's not that much more.
Well, and here's the thing. That should be funded by our tax dollars. It makes more sense. It's more cost effective. What the hell are we waiting for?
They're not going to do that.
No, it upsets their apple cart. I know. Their authority.
Absolutely. They would not fund anything where they cannot manipulate.
Well, it's up to us to, like, that's what we're doing here, vote in the representatives to get rid of all these, manipulative people. I mean,
they're not going. I think it's a cycle. I don't think you can vote anything in or out. I think it's just same birds of a feather. If you notice in politics, when a particular person or a person's political party is in power, they can't find the solution or won't find the solution to things that can be done. And the minute they're not in power, they have all the solution for the same.
They got all the answers, don't they?
It's a mind.
Very true.
It's a con artist business. I've seen people online literally curse each other out. Who is Democrat? Who is Republican? And I'm like, you really upset your life with them?
Yeah.
I mean, it's and then living in New York City, which is extremely, when we say New York City liberal to the point where it's beyond any rational thinking. Not kind of like no rational. I mean, and my view is noted in this country for voting, what you call them, Democrat people them. I couldn't care less. But if you look at and I'm not purporting Republican Party, because I kind of did like certain things about Trump, I must confess, certain things. But if you look at our constituencies as Black people, a shithole. We live in a shithole. If you know what I mean. We don't get the resources that we're supposed to get. We've never gotten the resources that we have to get. And when all it takes is critical thinking. It has nothing to do with preferring Trump or preferring Biden. Just look. If what you are hearing does not comport with what you are seeing, something is a lie. Period. No if and and when you look at we're the Black people in this country. I'm an immigrant. I'm a go-getter. I come from a different culture as my Black American counterpart. Straight. We just come from a different culture. I was raised different. So while my American counterpart was raised different, we have different views. We have different way of thinking. I used to carry water on my head because they were not that I didn't have any water in the pipe. There was just some time when the water gone. That's what we used to call it. No water. Water gone for 2 days. So what you gonna do? You go somewhere with water and carry the water on your head. That then builds resolve. That then builds purpose. My Black American counterpart has never had that. I went to a prestigious high school in Jamaica. meritoriously. I didn't go because my parents had money, because we never have money. We never have no money. You would take a, as in what they call elementary school here, we call it primary school in Jamaica. And
Yeah.
it's leading to my point about Democrats and us. What we call elementary school in the US is called primary school in Jamaica.
Yes.
So in primary school, when you get to the age of 10, 11, or 12, depending on your scholastic ability, you sit something that's called a common entrance. And you get to choose two prestigious high schools in Jamaica. You had some that were more prestigious than others, but nonetheless, it was high school. All primary school students at that age get to do it, and you sit that exam once a year. After you reach 12, if you fail it at 11 or 10, you can sit it at 12. Then you finish primary school, and you move on to what's called secondary. So if you don't pass the common entrance, you go to what's called secondary, which was considered a lower kind of, it's a high school, but it don't have the prestige or the learning
Yeah.
apparatus and everything.
Yeah.
So I passed common entrance. I'm just telling you. I passed common entrance. I went to a prestigious high school in Kingston, Jamaica. My Black American counterpart at the same time was in a shithole school district in America that tell them don't grade the work as don't tell them the work what they did is wrong. Still pass them and give them for effort. What kind of foolishness is that? If you have not completed a task, if you are not if you have not hold on, let me show you all them mess up black people in America. So if you have not completed the task, why are you going to tell the child, say you still pass, you did? No, show make the child work for you understand. I went to a prestigious high school meritoriously because I passed the exam. My Black American counterpart in a shithole failing school district, then because when the school district failed them, and then the parents now leave everything on the school district, because we have to tell the truth, parents are culpable for their child's success. It's not the teacher alone. Make a reason, make a talk the truth. Home environment, discipline, structure.
Mhm.
No father in the home. I'm a product of that. My son is now a product of that. So I'm being very, very candid. I'm showing you how they mess up black people in this country. So my Black American counterpart now, what happened? The parents blame the school for not educating the child, right? While the school district is failing. Who run all these school districts? Democrats, right? Listen now, and I'm not advocating for Republicans. I'm just showing you that this is a fact in the black community. When that child come out of elementary school, they go to middle school.
Mhm.
Same nonsense repeat over again. The parents leave everything pan. The father may not be in the home. Not all fathers, but we have a problem. May not be in the home. The school district is failing them because the democratic representatives are not giving the black communities where them do. Why do you think they do that in America? To make sure that the black people them always feel like them are victim so that them can keep voting them in. It's a scam. And my black people can't see it. At some point, you, me, she, the old lady, we have a responsibility to our excellence. We have a responsibility to our power. We have a responsibility to achieve. A system can keep you down so much. Yes, there's institutional racism. I went through it with my son. You listening to me? Didn't I make two presidencies? Didn't I get him into high school? So I did what I had to do. I didn't sit and fold my hand and say, somebody have to bring it, come give me on a platter. But then again, that comes from culture. So they have screwed our black people in this country through by making them feel like they are lesser than. And there is something in psychology called um romanticizing your pain. There are some of
Mm.
us as black people who want to remain victim because victimhood serves our purpose. Listen to me good. I'm not attacking my people. Victimhood. Sir, I have a sister. She's a narcissist. And she's always in a victim mode. And she was raised in Jamaica. A lot of people, pink, white, black, but I'm talking about my black people now in relation to the education and the moving forward and stepping outside of that we're always dying. Me, I know it's racism. Because when the white people in the white districts that head the white districts in this city tell me that my son don't need to get that, not that, you know what they tell me? On one of the cases, they we were supposed to go to trial, and they called a mediation. Listen to this. White people call a mediation, and guess what? What you said to me? Big wig with Department of Education. Miss Cousins, I'm not saying that you shouldn't really, do what you need, because we all love our kids. But moving forward, this case, nobody has ever done this. What you're asking for, nobody has ever gotten it. I've been in the, in upper whatever for 25 years, and I didn't get it. You think I'm gonna let that stop me from making sure I get what my son get? That's not gonna stop me. Yeah. So my Black American counterpart now sit down and wait, because the politician did tell them, say they're going to give them something. When you're not getting what you want from the politician, we control reality. We are powerful. We're a powerful conduit. We are in a electromagnetic sphere, which is the universe, and we're conduits. So everything we do, the universe reacts to that. So if you do the work, nobody's gonna bring anything and put on your table. No, I'm not saying we shouldn't hold politicians accountable, but I'm just showing you, when you look at all the constituencies, or the major constituencies where there is a influx of melanated people, the school district, them are shithole, the communities, them are shithole, because and it's run by Democrats, who Black people lean toward for decades upon decades upon decades, and they're still not getting what they want. So it's like, where do you step in and no longer be a victim? But then again, for some people, and then you have the Black Lives Movement come in and tell them, say them is a more victim, put a more layer of victim on top of it. So it's like you have a whole, it's like this generation, my son's generation, I don't know what's going to happen to them in this country, because they have taught them and brainwashed them to feel that somebody must bring something and give them, and them not supposed, and that, yes, there's institutional racism. Yes, there are things set up in healthcare. If you read the book, Medical Apartheid, what they've always been doing to us and still doing. There's medical apartheid. There's banking when it comes to buying a home, what they did to us. However, there are ways that we can equip ourselves to forge through. But because we are so inclined to believe that somebody will save we. Nobody's not going to save you. Me can't save you. I can assist you, but I cannot save you. Nobody can save me.
Yeah, we've
that's
got
my rant.
Yeah.
No, I'm not a Republican, so don't play with me. And I like things, and I don't. I did like certain things. Lord, I catch hell. I did like certain things about Trump. Certain things I never cared, but there's certain things about him that I liked.
Yeah.
Same here.
Trump is a radical, and I'm a radical. So radical recognize radical. Me like a radical person.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? Me love a radical. Trump was a radical. So there were certain, or they I don't know. Once somebody spit at me when I said Trump 2020. I just like certain things about it.
Yeah.
I think
our system needs to be rethought and reapproached and repurposed.
Well, I think in that case that you're gonna like Yang even more, because Yang actually said Trump got the problems right, but his solutions wouldn't work. That's what he said. So Yang said, let's empower our people with resources directly so they don't have to count on, all these bureaucratic systems and stuff. And I just think that's awesome.
Yeah, you don't have to prove you're poor enough to be to
Hey, without
Yeah.
putting this out in the universe, if there are people in the audience who like I ain't supporting, because listen, the it for Trump was like it was so real. Like what the hell? I mean, some of the hate was really real. Me never see somebody they hate somebody so yet. I don't. There's certain things about him that but there's certain things but I find it like freaking exhilarating. He was a radical.
Yeah, he's a bull in a
Yeah.
china
He's
shop, man.
still alive. Huh?
Yeah.
He's a bull in a china shop, man. He just
Yeah,
came in.
bull
Yeah,
in
man,
a
and
china shop.
you can't twist him. You can't hold him like a gig. You can't spin him. You can't twist him.
Right.
So
It's just
and if we take that approach if we
right.
have the same approach in our personal lives as let's say Mr. Trump, we can't conquer because nobody can manipulate. You know what it is to be brainwashed?
Yeah.
You become a slave to somebody else's ideology. You lose your
You
identity.
become a zombie.
Well, it's
You
called a
lose your
cult.
identity.
It's called a cult. A cult takes your identity
A
away.
cult,
And you it
right.
back.
You lose your identity.
That's why but Sophia, like a lot of former Trump people became Yang because in the Yang movement, like we never judged people who liked Trump before. We said, okay, like these are the problems that you have. Maybe there's a way to like fix them. Just because you're white and you live in the Midwest and you
Right.
lost your job at the factory, that doesn't mean you're racist.
Not the
You
truth.
know,
Not the
right?
truth.
Yeah.
Not the truth.
Yeah.
Not the
Yeah.
truth.
And that's the thing. We've got this duopoly. We've got this, and that's another thing. Sophia, do you know what ranked choice voting is?
Say that again.
Ranked choice voting. Ranked choice voting.
Ranked choice voting. No, I've never heard that term.
Okay, so do you vote in your city elections?
No, I'm not vote. I'm not believe in our team.
Believe? No, it ain't about belief, Sophia. Get your butt to the poll.
Me just I am a deeply analytical and spiritual person. When I say deeply spiritual, and that's how I saw. You know something? I have not watched news in 4 years.
Smart move.
I used to watch the news, and from Mr. Trump was running the first election, I stopped watching news because I realized that every night I turn on the TV, them I tell you why you should eat it. And I say, but this is a programming. Because I remember I'm Jamaica and there's a genre of reggae music named dancehall. I don't know who is familiar with dancehall music.
Yep.
I remember even dancehall artists, which would be considered the ghetto type of reggae, would pose with Trump, Shabarang, Supercat, with children. And then when I look at and that's from the Jamaican genre. Then you had the P. Diddy and all of them would pose with Trump when Trump was just Trump. You understand?
Yeah.
And then what got it for me? Nobody told me anything. Trump didn't say anything to persuade me. I just looked at the news and and then I said, no, something wrong. And I started kind of favoring him in some ways. Because I said right before the man became president, everybody would use Trump in their thesis of success. When they try to convey what success is or what, you're reaching, so all of a sudden, no, him is bad. So I stopped watching news. So for 4 years, I have not watched news. From Trump started running, I stopped watching.
It's probably the healthiest decision you ever make.
Me say, my brain cells nicer, I have more sense. Listen to me, I have on my girl panties. Yeah. Because when you watch the news, you get wedges. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, hey guys, it's 9:00. I gotta kill it.
Okay.
But Sophia, you guys, if you need advocacy, go to her website. Was it Isles
of Learning?
Learning. Oh yeah, I got it.
AISLES. You can pin it again.
Bam. There it is. So yeah, guys, go check out our website if you need advocacy for your family, for your friends, from a coworker, whoever.
Anywhere in the U.S.
Let them know there are resources available. There's advocacy available. There's knowledge and experience available to help you weather the storm of surviving a public school system with any kind of special needs, man. Mental, physical, doesn't matter.
Anyone have anyone else have any questions for me? Anyone else in the audience have any questions for me?
Well, the chat got quiet.
Oh.
Yeah, that's it. I think
Yeah,
everybody-
but I'm just gonna say, like, that's why we're doing here. We're building our own news, like you said. This is news now, like us talking and having these conversations and looking at these things. I just want to say that.
yeah. Well, that's why I had the trickle up. Is we want center left and center right
Trickle up
opinions
news.
to come in and say, okay, from a conservative point of view, this is how we see it. From a liberal point of view, is how we see it. Whatever labels you want to put on it. I'm like, F your labels. What's it say? I don't give a shit about spin.
Yes.
Right.
You know, so that's kind of what we're doing too. To like, I haven't had cable news in 6 years. I haven't had cable. I have Netflix and Hulu. I'm out.
Right. Isms create schisms.
Yeah, you got that right.
It mess you up. It mess up your
Yeah.
thinking. It makes you start seeing people less than human.
Dehumanizing for sure.
Yeah.
I was in when I wanted to make the sorrel in December. I went to a local what do you call that, liquor store, just to get the Jamaican rum, because I don't drink. I only do the sorrel when it's December time. And I'm gonna tell you something: how dangerous the liberal arm of this it is hurting us. I went into a liquor store. And it was the African American owner. He introduced himself as owner, and I was quite surprised because it's mostly Asians that come in, our neighbor, the New York metropolitan area, and owns these liquor stores. So black man introduced himself to me. I didn't have a mask on. This was in December, and there was a woman standing there, black woman too, and she was just silent. Anyway, he introduced himself. I bought the rum. And she just out of nowhere says, "You're not wearing a mask." And I'm like, "Yeah, so what?" She says, I said, "It's his store and he's not saying anything." She goes, "Listen what she said." She says, "Well, I just want you to know that I am a contact tracer. I don't know if you guys heard what Bill de Blasio was doing. He had put out a phone number for people to tattletale like Nazi Germany on other people. And the New Yorkers dogged him. They dogged him. He quickly took down the number.
Snitches get stitches, man.
To call the number if you see somebody without a mask. That's Nazi Germany.
Yeah.
Nazi.
Yeah.
And then she says, "I'm a contact tracer. I will just have you know." And I said, "So what?" I said, and I spoke in one of our African tongue, and I spoke because I'm from, I don't know if you guys ever heard of the Maroons. I'm my lineage. I was
Cameroon.
The
Cameroon.
Maroons.
Yeah.
The Maroons. The Maroons were the first free people in the transatlantic slave trade. Haiti was the first free colony.
Yeah, the slave revolt.
The Maroons were the first free people.
Okay.
They fought the British for 100 years and 100 and something years, and defeated the British and lived in the hills of Jamaica, spreading from one point to the other. They're called the Maroons. So my grandmother and my father are from different sects of Maroons. So I have that Maroon blood in me. You guys can look it up. Maroons. So I quoted, I literally went into my Maroon tongue, which is very powerful. And she just started backing away. And I'm like, this is what this is creating. If you, and she was masked up. I said, if you have on your mask, there's just something about this whole, and I'm not saying people are not dying, but this thing you put over your nose, it cannot stop you from what they claim to be is out there.
Yeah. Well, guys, I gotta cut it. But I look forward to coming to New York City, and I gotta meet you in person. That'd be fun. But
sure.
Definitely reach out to the Yang campaign. I'll see if there's anybody that's like a contact person that might want to have a special an advocate.
Ask them.
Yeah, for sure. I will, man. Hey, Ariel, Hardy Hat, and of course, Sophia, thank you for joining me tonight, man. 2 hours
Thank
of
you guys for
great
joining and
discussions.
engaging.
Yeah, it was fun.
Absolutely, man. But yeah, you
See you
guys
all
take
later.
care, man. Gang, gang, we're out.